What's up, y'all? It's Brandon. Welcome to Sittin and Sippin, a conversation about culture, art, news, about our lives. We're coming to you straight from the heart of the TL in San Francisco. That being said, we got to kick it off by taking care of the business of the house. You know how we do. So, Chris, what are you sipping on?
Oh, well. I'm sipping on some white wine.
I know you like that white wine. Oh, my God. What is it today? Pinot Grigio?
Oh, it's that Sauvignon Blanc.
All right. So, is that what you usually drink, Sauvignon Blanc?
No. I used to, I was a big Cabernet Sauvignon fan.
Mm-hmm.
I ordered it at a French restaurant on a date one time and ordered Cabernet Sauvignon Blanc. And the waitress brought over a white wine. And I was like, what the fuck is it? I was talking to my date and I was like, hey, should I send it back, or whatever? And so I sent it back. I was like, oh yeah, no, I ordered a Cabernet Sauvignon Blanc, thinking I knew my shit. And she takes it away. She's like, oh, I'm so sorry, sir. And she takes it away. I see her behind the counter, talk to the manager or whatever, the bartender. I was like, I don't know what this is.
What the fuck is a Cabernet Sauvignon Blanc?
And so, you ordered. That's what you ordered. So you ordered Sauvignon Blanc.
So she didn't know what it was either.
She didn't know what the fuck it was. Yeah. So basically, I don't know shit about wine.
Okay. Well, look, let me tell you this. I love wine. I think a lot of us love wine. I have always drank it. I've always preferred, before my palate evolved, I would only drink red wine, and I'm talking about Carlo Rossi.
Yeah.
Carlos Rossi.
Yeah.
That's what I would do. We'll have to ask Carla about my friend Carla about some of those experiences. But I had a mentor back in the day. Mama Madalino, I'll call her. But she always told me, I remember being at dinner with her and her two daughters, who are like sisters to me. I remember saying, Terry, I don't know anything about wine, but I want to know more about it. Whenever I go somewhere, I never know what to buy if I'm going to a dinner party. And she just said, Brandon, listen, if you don't know what the hell you're talking about when it comes to wine, always just pick up an Argentinian Malbec. You can't go wrong. Everybody's going to love it. So for so many years, all I drank was Argentinian Malbec because I was just trying to look like I knew what the hell I was talking about. So that's all I have to say about wine until further notice.
We also have our friend Hiroyuki Miyahara here today with us.
Hello.
Yay. For a conversation about his experience living in San Francisco over the past 25 years, what he's seen, what's changed, and what the hell is going on. Hiro, welcome.
Thank you very much.
And you got to ask this. What are you sipping on?
Gin tonic, as always.
All right. And let me just let you guys know. It's Hiroyuki Miyahara, okay?
Mm-hmm. Thank you for the introduction.
Hiro, I know that you love those G&Ts. We both do.
We do.
We have had plenty of them over at Rum and Sugar, which is a bar located in the TL, not far from either of us. It's on Geary Street. If you're in the area, check it out. There's never a dull time. To say that there are characters there would be an understatement, but it's always, it's our family. And they're actually going through a bit of a rebranding, and they're changing it. With the rebranding, the name is changing also from Rum and Sugar to With a Twist.
Yes,
With
I
a
heard.
Twist.
Yes.
Great. And I'm sure we'll probably stop over there later and see Adam.
I'm pretty sure.
So look, I always love our conversations. Before we get into spilling that tea, let's talk about a few things going on in the world today. Last week we talked about going to the protests. Hiro, you were there with Chris and I at both the George Floyd Solidarity March in the Mission, as well as the Black Lives Matter March on the Golden Gate Bridge. And we also spoke about being in those big crowds and how it's still important to make sure that we're going and getting a coronavirus, a COVID-19 test, just to make sure we're all in the clear. Can't be too safe. So let's recap that.
Yeah. I think we had completely different experiences. I drove to mine. It was a drive up. I went to the Soma location in San Francisco. And I think you went to what? You went to the...
Oh, yeah. I went to
Embarcadero.
Pier 30.
Pier 30. Oh.
And you drove. I walked.
Yeah.
So maybe that had a little bit of something to do with our different experiences.
Yeah.
I don't know.
My experience was very violent. It was...
violent. That's a bit of a harsh word, Chris.
It was what I expected.
Don't scare the people now.
No. It was what I expected. But you had got your test before I did. And you texted me. You're like, it was so easy. And
Oh yeah, so I did text you, and you were on your way to,
I was
to
about
get
it, yeah.
your test. And my friend Thomas and I, we met up, got a coffee, or wanting to get a coffee. We walked over to Pier 30, just made a whole morning of it. It was like, what can we do? It's like the new brunch, So we walked over to Pier 30 and you have to make an appointment. We made our appointments the day before, super easy. Answered a few questions on the home.color.com website, and walked on over there for our 10:30 a.m. appointments. And when we got there, I remember telling Thomas, I grabbed his shoulder and I just said, look, I got to tell you, I am not looking forward to this. I just don't like people all up in my face like that. And, touching and probing and probbing and all that kind of stuff. But then I got to the front of the line, gave them my ID, and I gave them the information that they needed. They just checked that I had an appointment. And the facilitator, there was two people there. There was one that was taking the information, and the first lady asked me if I consented to getting the test done, and I said yes. And she said, okay, go on over there and step on that X. So I did, and then the other medical first line responder hero, lots of heroes today, she just told me, I'm just gonna swab the inside of your nostrils, each side, and I'm not going to go all the way back. And I said, okay.
all the way in.
All the way in. Well, I mean, what's the difference? I mean, back in. I mean, tear it up. I'm here, but and I said, okay, that's fine. And she said, whenever you're ready. So I pulled my mask down, and it was just like, and she was like, that's it. Have a lovely day. And I was like, oh my God, that was so nice. Thank you. You have a lovely day too.
Oh man.
And then we went on about our way. But you had a different experience.
Yeah, it was drive up. I think there's, I drove up. There's different little pods, stations. I pull up, and the nurse comes up to me, and she just says, like, okay, she tells me what the test is all about and everything, and then she says, do you consent?
Which they all ask.
Yes. And then she just shoves this fucking swab all the way up my nose for like 5 seconds in each nostril. It was a very violent experience. But I will say that besides
Stop saying violent. Wait, I mean,
I get to the studio.
Was it really that violent?
It was just like, I mean, it was just like when you texted me, you're like, oh, it's so pleasant. I was expecting something different. Yeah, it was just a different experience. So go to Pier 30, not Soma.
I mean, I would have to agree. You can just park your car around the corner and just walk over to it. I'm sorry you had that experience.
Yeah,
I think what I've heard is that there's been a bit of a change in like how they're facilitating it to make sure that they get the right amount of mucus to be able to test it. And when we first started this, they had to go deep And my housemate, he had the same experience as you did. So that really really riled me up. And believe me, as I said before, I don't like people all up in my face like that. I was watching YouTube videos, just trying to work myself up. I'm like, okay, it's only going to be 10 seconds. It's only going to be 10 seconds. And but I don't know if there's just a change or if it changes from facility to facility. But just go to Pier 30.
Yeah. I mean, can they?
That's where I'm going.
No, honestly, if you have the ability to get tested and your area, your city is offering it for free, it's really not that bad.
It's not.
It really only takes not like just 10 seconds, and then you're out of there. And you might have a little bit of I don't know, uncomfortable state of being for a moment. But, whatever. You still are alive, and you still get to go on and live your life. And the results, I will say that I got my results back that next morning, and it was like a house party. Everyone was texting me, I got my results.
COVID free, baby.
And I mean, look, I'm glad that we went and did it and that we were able to share those experiences and let people know. I know that now, if you listen to Chris, you're gonna probably have some nightmares.
Yeah. Don't take what I say too seriously.
But that was his experience. I'm not gonna deny that. But go to Pier 30. Okay, so I just want to say that we are still fighting for equality, and I want to just point out a few things. We still have work to do. That's not going to stop. We need to continue to remember why we are out in the streets. It has been 98 days since Breonna Taylor was killed. And there still have been no arrests. Mind you, we know who did it, and we all have seen the insulting and basically blank so-called police report, which stated Breonna had sustained no injuries. The fuck? The injustices that are going on right now and the work that we need to do right now, and know that that's not going to stop, and understand that we just got to keep going forward. But with that being said, I also want to let you know that as an update and some good news out of Atlanta concerning the unfortunate and unnecessary death of Rayshawn Brooks, another innocent black man. Fulton County District Attorney Paul Howard announced yesterday that Garrett Rolfe, now former officer, would be charged with 11 counts, including felony murder and 3 counts of aggravated assault. The DA said, "We concluded and considered it that Mr. Brooks never presented himself as a threat." I repeat, we concluded and considered it that Mr. Brooks never presented himself as a threat. There are so many things that you can do as a police officer before you shoot somebody. Devin Brosnan, the other officer, he has been charged with 3 counts of aggravated assault, and arrest warrants were issued for both men. Look, this isn't what I want to talk about, but while I want to sit and sip, and I will sit and sip, I like sitting and sipping.
Mm-hmm.
Given the platform, I'm going to have to let y'all know about this shit. I know you see it everywhere, but you need to see it everywhere. You need to hear it from everywhere, okay? I just need to say that this country needs serious reform to the police and criminal justice system and reallocation of enormous amounts of funding they receive to their budgets every year. That needs to go to homelessness, mental health, just reinvesting in Black and brown communities, because that is where it's been taken away from. So continue to say their names, continue to support this fight against injustice. This is going to take a long time, so we must remain steady. We cannot become complicit, and we cannot forget. Some more awesome news. When I woke up the other day. Whew, child. That Supreme Court ruling that came down, the majority rule that Title VII of the 1964 Civil Rights Act, which prohibits discrimination because of sex, extends, you hear me? Y'all hear me? Extends to people who face bias, arising from their sexual orientation or gender identity. So Justice Neil Gorsuch, whom is a staunch conservative, and we all know who put him there, he wrote the ruling, said that the message of the law is simple and momentous. An individual's homosexuality or transgender status is not relevant to employment decisions. That's because it is impossible to discriminate against a person for being homosexual or transgender without discriminating against that individual based on sex. So I wanted to make sure that we're all staying abreast of those situations, because I know I can get a little deep, a little serious sometimes, but this ain't always gonna be Super Soul Sunday. So. But
Juneteenth is Friday.
That's right. Thank you for bringing that up.
Yeah, Juneteenth is the oldest nationally celebrated commemoration of the ending of slavery in the United States. It dates back to 1865, originating in Galveston, Texas.
For those of you who don't know, that's where I was born.
Oh, yes, it is.
Galveston, Texas, G-Town, baby. If you know me, stand up, raise your hands. Whoop, whoop. Okay, that is the island, B-O-I. So I'm ready to turn up. My friend Thomas, our friend Thomas, by the time I say Thomas' name so much that by the end of this we all gonna be friends. Thomas texted me last night asking what I wanted to do. And honestly, it was such a simple question. He said, "Brandon, what do you want to do for Juneteenth on Friday?" Thomas is a Cuban American. He is a white man, and and he's been there. He was there with us he's been with us at the protest as well. He's just here. He's love. He's family. And he texted me and asked that question, and it was such a simple question, but it made me a bit emotional in that moment because no one had ever asked me that before. You're like, what are you doing for Thanksgiving? What are you doing for Christmas? What are you doing for your birthday? Well, but no one I'd never even thought about that. I'd never been brought up what are you doing for Juneteenth? If it wasn't my family or a picnic or whatever. So that was really awesome. So there are some events going on around the Bay, right? Of course there are, but
yeah. Well, there's if you go to dothebay.com, there's a bunch of resources there. So there's the Juneteenth reunion, Black Queer Rally, and
where's that happening?
That is happening outside of Q Bar in the Castro.
Oh, Q Bar. Let me tell. Oh, I've had some times there. We're not gonna get. That's another show. That's another show. Yeah. Let me tell you.
Friday, June 19th, 2020, from 3 p.m. to 6 p.m.
Okay. What else is going on?
Oh, what else is going on? Oh, yeah. There's other things that are going on here.
No shit.
Things are happening. Yeah. So also, San Francisco City Hall will light up for Juneteenth.
Okay. That's
they light up for a lot of things, but
that's nice.
That's good. That's a nice little thing.
It's a beautiful building.
What else? There's a Classical Revolution 8-hour live stream music festival that's happening.
Where is that happening at?
Where is that happening?
Isn't it Stern Grove?
Oh yeah, Stern Grove. Is that so?
Yeah. Oh wait. Here.
Yeah.
I actually have it right here in front of me. It is Stern Grove. Oh yeah, because you said it was a virtual concert series.
Yes.
I miss going to.
So
Stern Grove.
Yeah, but it's virtual.
I love climbing up into those hills, listen to the symphony or fucking Smokey Robinson,
Yeah.
just like
I saw the zombies in
lighting a
Stern Grove.
joint, just leaning back in the trees.
That was cool.
You saw the zombies there?
Oh yeah, they played at Stern Grove. Free festival.
Oh, Stern Grove is just so awesome.
I think also George Clinton performed there too.
Oh,
went and saw that,
I
yeah.
remember that, but I didn't get to make it to George Clinton, which I'm embarrassed to say that I wasn't at that show.
I went, and then it was just packed, so I was there's no way to see him.
Did you listen?
I listened from the street.
You went home, didn't you? I mean, I would have went home too. The street is not the same. You got to see George Clinton and everything that he has going on over there. I do know that there is also an Ocean Beach Memorial Stroll at sunset, which is going to be taking place every Sunday. And I think it starts, let's see here. I have it I have it saved. So it's going to be, of course, when we say these things, they're going to be virtual happenings because we are coming out of shelter in place. Businesses are opening, restaurants are opening. If you saw me on Instagram, you saw Chris on Instagram, we had breakfast outside the other day.
Yeah.
Nobody get alarmed. Don't send me no hate mail because I will respond. But there is going to be you're going to start at Vicente where it reaches the sand. According to the details on the concrete walkway at Ocean Beach in the outer sunset, just north of San Francisco Zoo. So every Sunday, starting June 14th, and which we're past June 14th, so it started this past Sunday, from 7:30 to 8:30, and it's free, of course. Just a march in solidarity in support of love and support of George Floyd and countless other names and the things that we need to change. So there are things going on. Again, check out sffuncheap.com and get your groove on.
And don't forget, specials at Rum and Sugar.
Oh, okay, Hero, look at you. Look at you. Thank you. That's why this is exactly why you're here today.
Yeah, it is.
Keep us on track.
Keep us informed.
Yeah, there are some specials at Rum and Sugar. I actually just was messaging with Brandon, who manages the bar. Some of you might know him as Crazy Ass Camille Toe. His drag persona, which I really don't see them. They're the same person to me.
Yeah.
But they're at Rum and Sugar. There's going to be this Friday on Juneteenth, they're having a party over there, socially distancing, of course, but go ahead and get you some cocktails. And just check out Rum and Sugar. Check out the information there to get the details on there, but definitely stop by, support your local businesses. Yeah. But I want to get into
the hero business.
Why we are here today. My friend.
How do you say? Hiro Miyahara.
Yes, Hiroyuki Miyahara. Did I get that right?
Yes.
Yes. So we're going to talk about, I think we kind of wanted to talk about, just to get into it. I mean, here, you've lived here for 25 years.
Yes, since 1995. I first came to the U.S. when I was in college for a month and a half as an exchange student. And that's the reason why I moved to Sacramento first when I decided to move to the States. I was not supposed to because of my visa situation was student visa.
Yeah.
But I was trying to get work visa, which I'm not supposed to do, but I was trying to do.
Yeah.
And in Sacramento, it's a nice city, but I just didn't see any possibility that I can get work visa. I had to be in bigger city. That's the reason why I moved to San Francisco.
Yeah. So how has it changed over there? I mean, you've been here for a while, so I mean,
I had no idea anything about San Francisco.
Yeah.
So the apartment I chose was at Hyde and Geary, the first one.
Wait, so you had never been here before?
I had been here, but as a tourist.
As a tourist, okay.
So
okay.
I had never walked in the neighborhoods. So I had no idea about any neighborhood or anything. It was the affordable, like back then studio was $500.
Mm.
Oh, $500.
And it was
God
good
damn, I was
size
taking another
studio.
I'll pour it up. Y'all keep talking.
Okay.
But yeah, it was an experience
Yeah.
moving into Tenderloin without knowing anything about it. Now it's cleaner.
It's
Some
cleaner
people-
than it was
yeah,
back then?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it was an experience.
Yeah.
Like,
Wait, so you're saying that the Tenderloin was dirtier? Because, look, you know, the TL gets a really bad rap as being like, oh, the bad part of town. And you know, shit happens. Bad shit happens everywhere. I love the TL, and I know it has some shit going on, but you're telling me that everything that's going on and what you see right now is that it was dirtier then? It's
back
cleaned
then,
up
yes. It's cleaner now.
now? Okay.
And I think the homeless people or panhandlers were more aggressive
Mm.
back then. That's the reason why I think a lot of people think Tenderloin's bad. I have never had bad experience, but I know some people who got attacked.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't know if they were homeless people or not. But Tenderloin was darker, I guess,
Yeah.
than now.
Right. Yeah.
I've never had a bad experience. I mean,
I've never had a bad experience. I mean, that's not to
Yeah,
say
I
that
never
people
had any.
yeah.
haven't had bad experiences. As we know, I think we all know some people that have had bad experiences. But I mean, I don't know what that says about us. And like, and you haven't had a bad experience, and you've been here for so long.
I would say like 20 years of my life here
20 years in the TL.
in TL, yes.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I love that. I mean, and I know that the landscape of the city has changed completely from the 90s, even from the 90s to the 2000s. We had the boom in the 90s. There was, you know, there was so much going on. There was I know in 1990, MC Hammer dropped that hit single, "You Can't Touch This." Y'all remember that? Do you
Of
remember?
course.
Do you guys remember when MC Hammer had a cartoon show?
No.
You didn't know about that? Did you know about that?
No.
MC Hammer had a cartoon show back in the day, and it was focused on his shoes.
Wait,
His shoes were like They talked. They had their own. It was short lived, but I caught wind of that. I saw it when I was a kid. I remember, but I don't.
Called Hammerman. I just looked it up. Hammerman.
Oh, that was you can't touch this.
It was a show about his pants.
His pants, was it his pants and his shoes?
His pants and
Because
shoes.
the harem pants and
Yeah.
and the shoes and that was really funny. If you look it up on YouTube, I'm sure it's there.
He was really big in Japan too.
Was MC Hammer?
Yeah.
Oh, well, that's good to know.
He was on a lot of Japanese TV shows.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, that's so interesting. Like, just was he like there being interviewed or just the what was it?
It was more like a variety show, like a comedy show.
Uh-huh,
and he just comes in and like,
You can't
dance.
touch this.
Yeah. Sing and dance.
Okay. Well, you know, the 90s people, I mean, the 90s were, I mean, I was born in 86 and I consider myself, I like to call myself a child of the 90s, but really I was just a kid. You were living the 90s and you were not only just living in the 90s, you were in Japan and then you decided to move to the Bay. And, you know, Chris and I are also musicians. And here's a quick plug. We are in a band called Car Fire here in San Francisco. If you haven't checked us out, check us out. You can stream it on Spotify or iTunes or wherever you like to listen to music. Anyway,
All right,
so
moving on.
we're musicians, and I always like to know what feet on the ground in music or creative scenes are like. So what were you doing? Were you into the music scene? Were you a punk rocker? That was big in the 90s here in the Bay. What were you doing?
I wasn't into music like much, but yeah, one of my exes I used to date, of course, but he
fuck
was
him.
into Yeah, fuck him. But he was into art, so I've been to a lot of art studios with him or with his friends. With a lot of things happening in the mission, especially.
How was the mission back then
Was
in the 90s?
I think they haven't changed much except for these
Valencia?
restaurants and Valencia Street
Because
changed.
you go there now, it's like Valencia Street just looks like you go to Valencia Street and then you go to the Mission Street, which is literally just a block over. It's like a completely different
Yeah.
world.
I worked at the restaurant on Valencia Street and it changed a lot.
Would you say that it went from just being what it was, just a neighborhood where people that lived in it, worked in it, strolled about it, that was their everyday life, to
I
be
think a lot of empty spaces on Valencia Street back then. So a lot of business were able to come in. So newer business restaurants got on the Valencia Street instead of Mission. Mission was already packed. So
okay.
maybe that's why Valencia Street got more developed.
I see.
Yeah.
So there was our mission was busy.
Busy, always
And
busy.
Valencia was quiet. So we see the opposite now. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean,
we see the
because me and you, Brandon, we moved here kind of the same time, right? I mean,
I moved here in 2013.
Me too. And I think we were talking about. I mean, we've seen some changes, but nothing like that. It was
that time, like 2013, like Valencia was happening.
Yeah, that's when it was. Yeah, yeah.
I feel like Mission is a neighborhood in San Francisco that has a really strong like Hispanic and Latino community, and that when I think about the Mission, I think about that and how rich that culture is. And how it feels like it's kind of slipping away a little bit more every day, and I think that it's so important. Not that we need to be a Disney World and this is the neighborhood for this and that's the neighborhood of that, but I think we need to respect the history and what that means and who built it and who's there. I don't need a goop, you know.
Goop. Where's those shots at?
I need all we got. Yeah.
Come on, man. I was like,
well, then I had to come back to the. I had to come back to the microphone.
okay, all right. Well, it's fine.
Anyway, I'm gonna go pour some shots because apparently I'm talking too much.
No. Just
But
pour it up.
But I just think that it's important that we hold on to and support heritages and cultures in our communities, in our neighborhoods. There's such a and being in San Francisco, I think we're sort of like this. We have this responsibility to be a leader as far as like a city, a metropolitan area. Like people flock here from all over the world looking for a safe haven,
Acceptance. And
that they
all
can
that,
come here and be
yeah.
whoever they are. Like I had never even been here before I moved here. I just had a friend in North Beach and I had a friend in Inner Richmond, and I had hit a ceiling in Houston and needed to work on me and a whole bunch of other shit that but I said, okay, fine, whatever, I'll come there. They just come, Brandon, just get out here, you'll figure it out. And so that's exactly what I did, and I thought, and I came here for what I thought. I came here for the San Francisco that I read about, that I knew about, that I had heard about, and that was inclusive and diverse. It was the gay mecca. It was somewhere that I could walk down the street and hold hands with another man, and nobody would look at me sideways. That I could grab my coffee and walk onto the sidewalk outside of the building and see someone reading the SF Chronicle that was completely ass naked. Balls hanging, everything, and that was okay. You know, I'm like, hey, Jim.
And they're still here.
They are still here, thank God. Thank somebody. Thank them for still being here. Thank them for still being here. So I mean, I think that's beautiful. I'm gonna go pour some shots.
Yeah.
And
Well, moving from Sacramento to SF in '95, what was the queer life interaction then compared to?
I would say
It is
it
now.
was a little more spread because now it's like Castro, but Polk Street was a little more gay than now, and also Fillmore Street too.
But
you
back.
want another gin and tonic too?
Oh shit! Yeah, pour it up.
Let me see the cup. Hero, you want
What
one?
happened?
No, I have-
I think I have.
I'm on my number 3, so
What happened to mine?
I didn't mean to interrupt.
God damn. All right. Well,
But I think Polk Street was more like neighborhood gay
yeah.
place, I guess.
Yeah, and I mean, as the years have passed, I mean, we've seen, queer space after queer space kind of like shudder in the city, especially now during quarantine. I think during the shelter in place, a lot of those businesses are kind of struggling. I know the Stud was
they just
an
closed.
SF local gay bar that's been around for forever, has just shut the doors. I know the goal is for us is to be working towards a more equal and inclusive world, but I don't think that should be erasing or tearing down, rebranding our safe places. Are we
Oh yeah,
cheersing here?
cheers.
Cheers.
Cheers. It's all right.
Gosh, yeah, the Stud was the Stud.
Yes.
San Francisco's oldest queer bar.
I'm sad to say I've never
And
been.
it almost lost its. It almost closed a few years ago, but then it was banded. It was banded. People, the bartenders, the patrons, banded together. 18 owner collective. Really tried to save it, but
Well, I think I was talking to some.
the pandemic had an effect on that.
Yeah, and we don't really have the it in front of us, but I think I heard. Oh, you're gonna go pee? You're trying to say okay? Brandon's gonna go
I gotta
pee.
take a piss. Shit.
Brandon's peeing. So he'll be right back. So I'll save that question for a later time. But
Also in the Tenderloin, last year, or 2 years ago, Gangway, that was one of the oldest gay bars as well.
what was
Closed. Gangway.
it?
Now
Gangway?
it's Kung Fu.
Oh, is it a still bar? It's still a bar?
It is still a bar, but Gangway was one of the oldest gay bar in San Francisco, and they had to close down because of the economy.
Right,
and,
yeah. And I think that's part of the problem is like the more that everything becomes a little bit more gentrified, I think those like safe havens are slowly diminishing because they just don't have the fund. They can't. Yeah, they have like community support, but like they just don't have the fucking funding to keep open. And it's sad.
Yeah, and the Castro is nice, but I want more of like divey feeling kind of bar.
I want to see some
So
grunge.
yeah,
I wanna,
Gangway was one of those, and one on Polk Street, Cinch is still there.
Yeah.
And it's really nice place.
Honestly,
Rum
when-
and Sugar we go to, I like the feeling.
Yeah.
It's not all the way divey, but it's just friendly.
When I
Like
first
all the customers, everybody work there. It's just family kind of way
And I love
of
a dive
hanging
bar.
out. Yeah.
And I love a dive
I love
bar.
a dive bar.
I do. I love a dive bar. I grew up in dive bars. Like my family. Oh, we're moving on to the Breer. The Breer.
The Breer?
We're moving on to the beer now.
Yes.
I grew up in dive bar. I think about this in my little country ass. My grandmother ran a bar called the Honey Hush. My aunt.
That's fucking hilarious.
We'll talk about that later.
Honey Hush?
My aunt Benina, her sister, ran a bar called Tri City. So I mean, I grew up in dive. I love dive bars, and because where in dive bars is where all types of people come together.
Yeah.
And then and then you have the gay bars, and gay bars and dive bars and places like that are really where you take your hat off, and I don't care who you are, I don't care where you came from.
It's really welcoming.
Right.
Right.
Yeah. And that's why I love the Cinch.
Mm-hmm.
That's why I love Gingers and Rum and Sugar, and Last Call is probably my favorite gay bar in the city. Honestly, they have the best jukebox
I like
in the
mix
Castro,
too.
and the mix. I love me some mix. Okay. And you can
We
say
can
what
smoke outside.
you can say what you say, but we got a patio.
Yeah.
When I first moved to the city, I went straight to the Castro. That was the first place that I went to.
Oh, really?
Yeah, as a straight white male.
You and Molly, you in danger, girl.
But I just felt so accepted, and I was just, there just needs to be more places like that. I mean, I have some very conservative cousins and extended family who live in Texas right now, and I remember when my grandmother passed.
Always got to be Texas.
Why does it always have to be Texas? You're from Texas. Right. Come on, what's going on over there?
I was fine.
But I had my grandmother passed, and we had a funeral, and they flew out here, and I remember my cousin just asked me like, "Oh, so you live in San Francisco?" And I was like, "Yeah." It's like, "Oh, there's a lot of gays over there, right?" Like just so concerned, or like just had no idea, and I was like, what is that like? And I'm just like, I don't know. I mean, I think in his mind, and in people who are so homophobic, their mind goes right towards like, oh, they're walking past some gay guys and they're just fucking want to like,
rip your pants off and suck your dick right now here in the middle of the street.
Yeah, exactly.
Before the light turns green.
Yeah. Yeah, it's just like that is just not the case. And he was, I just explained to him. I mean, he came from a place that was very open-minded in terms of like accepting that response of me telling him, nah, man, like I feel safe walking down. It's a very misconstrued notion of the culture and the community. And I think a lot of people just need to get outside of their bubbles every once in a while. Mm-hmm. But anyways, that was my gay story.
That was your gay story?
I could tell a couple more gay stories.
I'm sure you could.
Everybody have a couple.
Everyone has a couple. Whether you know about it, let me tell you something. Let me tell you something. Whether you know about them or not, everybody has a couple of gay stories. Okay, where do we?
Let's get back on topic.
I want to wrap this up. Not. I mean, we know we're gonna keep hanging out. We're gonna go walk around the corner and take some photos and have a couple of drinks, socially distanced. But I want to just say, what do you think? We've been here, and a lot of times this isn't an interview. This is a conversation amongst friends, and like just what we've been. This is not to like inform people. But this is just to let you know that we're here. This is our life. This is what we do. Some people might get something out of this. Some people would be like, "Well, why the hell am I listening to this?" But really, this is a conversation to let you know, like, this is just life, and it could be exciting to some, or just fucking regular to others. But this is SF. We are SF, and there's been a lot of people moving out of the city during the pandemic. A lot of people realizing or making the assessment that I have the ability to work from home, so why am I going to pay these high rents when I can go somewhere? If I can work from I don't know, whatever the fuck a town in Wyoming is called, and buy a house there and do that, then why wouldn't I and still work for Facebook or Twitter or this, that, and other? With that being said, people moving out, do you think that there might be an opportunity for a resurgence of what you saw when you first got here, or the culture or the art, or just the appreciation for the city itself?
I think a lot of people moved out before this pandemic because they couldn't afford the rent. But after a lot of people who can work from home or work from anywhere and who can afford to move anywhere moves out of San Francisco, it's kind of like a cleansing of San Francisco, I think. So that a lot of people who couldn't afford to live here may be able to come back. So that a lot of artists like who weren't making a lot of money as like IT people were able to make, may be able to come back, because if the city is empty, rent's gonna go lower, right? So good part of those artsy San Francisco may come back, hopefully.
Hopefully, yeah. I hope so. I came here, like I said before, because of what I read and the inspiration that this city invokes in people around the world. I came here because I could... Fucking Christ. Are you serious? I was in the middle.
My bad.
My goodness.
Continue.
I came here because I can't. I came here because of what the city invokes, what the city inspires. Just the honesty. This is supposed to be a place where that we can come and be whoever we are. So I want to thank you for being here and having this conversation and just like talking with us, because like I'm so fortunate and so blessed to get to see the both of you almost every day. And I got to tell you, this is what real love looks like. This is real appreciation, real love coming straight to you from San Francisco in the heart of the TL. And we should do what we're doing at this table everywhere we go.
Yeah.
Thank you so much, Hiro, for having this conversation.
Thank you for having me.
I also just want to say I want to express our gratitude to everyone that listened last week and today. Your feedback was insightful and uplifting. Thank you so much for that. In the comments section, please send the text. Please send the private messages. But you sharing your comments in the comment section will not only help us stay informed and get better, but it will also help us to reach more viewers. And without you and listeners, without you, we can't. All right. Again, thank you, Hiroyuki Miyahara.
Yes. Thank you.
For sitting and sipping with us today. We'll talk to y'all next week.
All right. Cheers.